Oh my
You're
gosh.
just going to stare at me.
We're just all in awe.
What I'm curious about what you found the most challenging about being Ariel as an animated character as opposed to your Broadway career.
I think it was the realization that this character was going to possibly live forever, and to maintain the integrity of it and the responsibility of just representing her well, you know, with children, and realizing the great sense of responsibility that it's been to have her be a part of my life, because, you know, it's not a job, it's not just a character, it's a, you know, she's an icon, but she's a character that's, you know, touched a lot of people's lives. So I think it's just that sense of tremendous responsibility to pay good honor and credit to her, but represent her well, you know.
How
when I
has
travel around?
How
especially
has
with
that?
kids, so.
Oh yes, especially with children. How has that shaped the rest of your career?
Well, it's been everything that I've had that's come from ever since that day, you know, since the movie came out. Every job, goodness sakes, every concert, business relationship, pretty much everything has happened, you know, because of this film, because of my relationship with the character and with the company, and, you know, so it's been really life-changing. I'm very, very thankful.
Is that all you
Thank
put on your
you.
resume is just, I was Ariel, and boom,
Yeah,
job
right.
one?
No, I mean, just, yeah. I mean, it could make it very simple by saying that this character has definitely changed my life. And, you know, some people ask, oh, is it limiting, or do you feel it's been restricting to you, or that's the only way people know you as? And I just don't really see it that way. I just look at it as an incredible blessing and a very, very, very positive. That's the way I look at it.
Has anyone, you know, who doesn't recognize your face ever, you know, you're at the grocery store, checkout line, and you speak, and have they ever said, oh my gosh, are you Ariel? Is your voice that recognizable to people?
It has happened, yes. You know, people will recognize you. Now, a lot of times it's by seeing my face, you know, just because they've kind of put two and two together. But it's definitely been with the voice as well, you know, especially on the phone.
Yeah.
People will say, oh, you really sound like. So, yeah, it does. And it's an honor.
Now, did you find it challenging working with a bunch of different people and just working as voices instead of where on Broadway you're physically working
Correct.
with the people? Is there a major difference? Is it
There was.
one is better than the other?
No, they're equally as entertaining and they're equally as challenging, but they are very, very different. And during our sessions, that's probably the most challenging thing for me, as I was describing, was I felt like I was giving it my all. And when I was in the studio, and I still do now, I don't just say the lines, I physically act everything out. That's just kind of how I work. But I felt like I would just pour it all out on the line and pour out my heart. And Ron and John would even push the button. We're just not getting it. We're not getting it. Oh, gosh, I don't know what else to do. And that's where Howard was really helpful to try to convey everything that you're feeling with just your voice. And it was really hard at first, very hard, and new for me.
Sort of following up on that, how far into the process were you started to feel like, okay, I got this, I know what they're trying to get me to do?
It probably wasn't until the third day into it. The first 2 days were just a whirlwind, and you have to overcome your nerves because your nerves show through your voice so much. And I just didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I really didn't know what I was doing. And I felt embarrassed, I think, and just completely unqualified. With the engineers, I kept hitting the mic with my hands and just doing silly stuff. And I'm sorry. They're like, well, that was really good, but you gotta put your hands down, you know, because I talk with my hands all the time. So it was just learning this whole new craft was a little hard for me the first few days, but those guys were so patient. They were so kind, putting up with me. So.
You know, and a silly, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. I just want to say, I would think, though, that to actually get the expression out that you're trying to relay, you'd have to move, you'd have to react, because I think that our voice changes in the way that we move and react.
It did for me, because I'm kind of a full body, you know, engaged kind of person coming from the stage. Occasionally I'll work with people, but for the most part we work by ourselves, and they'll just sit in a chair. And I've got to set my mic standing up, and I've got to move and do all this, and they can just sit there and do everything with just their voice. I mean, I'm still amazed that people can do that. But
I would think that it would be easier to move around.
it was easier for me, because that was something I was most comfortable with. Yeah.
I would think that you would feel a sense of responsibility for the legacy of Ariel. Because of all the princesses, your public persona, I think, has been elevated more as almost the ambassador of all the voices of the princesses. Other than maybe Mandy Moore, because she's already a celebrity coming into it. And so anytime I see Ariel used, and I mean, she's my favorite princess, and I always, unlike whenever I see Belle used in something else, you know, I never think, like, I wonder what the voice of Belle thinks about that, or if she's excited about the opening of this. So I'm curious about how you feel about the legacy of Ariel, because it just grows and grows. The new Ariel rides at Disneyland and Disney World. And I so closely identify you with Ariel as opposed to Belle or Mulan or, you know, really any of the other Disney princesses. I mean, for me, other than maybe Rapunzel. So can you talk a little bit about that sense of legacy?
Yeah, I think, you know, when there were a group of us that were honored at Disney Legends a few years back, and I tell the story that when I got the call for that from Chris Montan's office, I actually thought that I was being let go. I mean, they were doing a big house cleaning of princesses. And I just assumed my time was up, you know, and they'd find a sound-alike. And so when I got the call for that, I kind of took a deep breath. He goes, I just have something really important to tell you. And I was like, well, here it comes, you know. 2 or 3 of my friends had just been let go, and I thought, well, it's all right. It's been a great, long run. I've had a good life. And he said, well, we really, you know, like to honor you with this. And I was like, I couldn't even understand it. I mean, it was like, I didn't say anything. And I think the first thing I said was something like, you know, don't you usually get that if you're dead or something? You know, it was like, he's like, no, you can be honored when you're alive. But I was like, what, me? What? And I think it is hard for me to understand that the character is so beloved, and she has really transcended so many years and has become, you know, a classic. It's kind of unfathomable for me. I just, golly, you know, just can't believe it. I'm thankful and so grateful to get to be a part of it. I guess I think of her as her own entity, and I'm a big piece of her, you know, but I don't necessarily think of the two of us entwined in one, you know, because I kind of pay tribute to her by, you know, giving her the limelight as a character, and I just kind of support her. But I think a lot of people have entwined us together, and that's really, really neat. So, yeah, I'm very thankful. But, you know, the first round of classic princesses are no longer with us. So then the second set of princesses are here, and some of them have moved on to other projects, and some of the voices have moved on to this. So I'm probably the only one that, you know, does my own singing and speaking still throughout the years.
Wow.
And so I think that has something to do with it, that I still am doing things like this. I'm still recording her. You know, we just did another toy about a week ago. We just shot a little film thing this morning. So I'm really thankful that I still have my job, and I can still bring her to life, you know. So that's that's good. I mean, if I can't do that, then I don't necessarily have my job, so it's really important that I keep doing my best. So try to do my best. Yes?
I have a question. I think you look a lot like Ariel. Have you ever dressed up as her in
No.
Halloween or something? Or at a
No, I
party?
haven't. One time, in the privacy of a hotel room in New York on a junket, the costume designer brought the Disney World Ariel's costume. And just she and I in the room in between events. I put it on just for fun and laid on the little sofa, and she took a little picture. I don't even know if we have the picture anymore, but I had always wondered what it would feel like, you know, to have a fin and to wear the seashells, but it was just she and I together, and then she wrapped the costume back up and brought it to, I think it was Madison Square, whatever event it was, and Ariel was there on top of the rock, and I came out in my gown singing, but chuckling to myself because as Ariel was there, I was like, I tried that on. I could actually fit into it at that time, so it was pretty funny. But no, I've never, you know, they pretty much for Disney, it's Jodi Benson, voice of Ariel, Little Mermaid, maintaining the integrity that way of the character. So, but people ask me all the time, are you the Ariel in the theme park? I'm like, no. I know it's hard to understand.
You should show up as one
A very old Ariel, very old Ariel.
You know, I think the little girls would not even think that.
I know.
Not at all.
Well, that's sweet.
Not at all, yeah.
That's sweet. Yeah. So that was fun.
We've heard a lot about how some of the other people involved in Little Mermaid got started. And we know a little bit about how you got started. What would be your advice to people who would like to get, you know, like to be the voice or like to be, you know, involved in Disney movies on the other side, the action, the voice, not animated, not the directing, not the animated. But, so coming from your experience, what advice do you have for people that would like to get into that as a career?
I think for my encouragement for kids is whatever it is that they love to do, I just really encourage them to do it to the fullest ability and get as many experiences as they can, especially for voiceover. They can narrate, they can read stories at school or at church to other children and play with all the different voices and play all the different characters. So the more experience and the more playful and the more fun, then, you know, they just have all that knowledge under their belt. And I think that when they're feeling ready for it, they should go ahead and lay down some great voices and send it to an agent and see what happens, you know? You never know. You just never know. And I try to encourage children, if they have a dream, a passion of some sort, they need to go for it. You know, you don't want to get to the other side of your lifetime when you're grown up and you're older and you have all these responsibilities and things that you have to do to have any kind of regrets. You know, I think that's my thing I try to tell kids is just no regrets. Really just live life to the fullest and go for it, you know? And there's different ways to use your giftedness and your talents and your skills that don't have to be the biggest thing, like a big Broadway show or a huge animated feature film. There's so many varying degrees of sense of fulfillment and accomplishment all in between, you know? I mean, some of my greatest fulfillment experiences haven't been in front of 25,000 people. You know, I may be in a hospital room with one family and I'm singing to a child and I'm just like, this is it. You know, this beats the Hollywood Bowl any day, you know? Talking to a little 3-year-old on the telephone. Those are some of the greatest moments, you know, not the big splashy media-centered kind. So my encouragement to a child would be do what you want to do because you love it and not necessarily for fame and fortune and notoriety and all that other stuff and a paycheck, but do it because you love it, you know, because God's given every single person very specific gifts. And the job is trying to figure out what those gifts are and let them come out. That's what I like to do when I'm working with kids. Whatever that is, you know, whatever they have, there's a way to let it shine. Okay, one last question. Yes?
Well, I thought it was really cool that you started out on stage and then found yourself doing film and some voiceover work, and I wondered what was really special for you about doing voiceover work, and you've done some really great roles since then. Could you talk a little bit about that and what you enjoy about that particular kind of acting, or what's special about it?
I think for me, when I'm in the recording studio, the greatest joy that I have is complete, unencumbered, no boundaries, childlike. It's like, wow, I can't describe it. It's like a free-for-all, and I love it. It's like being in a playroom that has rubber walls all around you, and you can just be bouncing off the walls and having fun like you're in a kid's gym kind of thing. Like a two-year-old toddler in a gym. That's what it feels like to me. And it doesn't matter what I look like. It doesn't matter what I'm wearing. I don't have to worry about my curly, kinky hair and product. I don't have to put on makeup, and I can wear a baseball cap, and I wear my sweat clothes and my tennis shoes, and I can just get in. I'm soaking wet by the end of the session. I'm always dripping because I'm working. But I love that. It's so different than Broadway and different than film, or like today doing a shoot out on the plaza, doing a little video shoot. You got to worry about everything else, and you just want to focus on what you're trying to communicate to your audience. So the thing I love about voiceover is that you don't have to worry about anything else except the communicating part. That's all I have to worry about. I don't have to worry about, did you hit your mark? Turn your head to the left so the light, watch out, don't touch your hair, whatever. And which I hate all of that kind of stuff because I live in my baseball cap and braids and my sweatpants because I'm a homeschool mom, so I constantly go without showers. Many things. So I just, this is not the real me. So I love that about the studio. I love that about the studio because nobody really cares about anything. Just do really great work and focus on that. And that's so wonderful. And as a mom, you're thinking about 50 things every single day. Like this morning I'm getting up and I have to worry about my hair, makeup and my clothes and steam them and blah, blah, blah. But I'm laying out my kids' clothes to go to Universal, and here's the sunscreen. Okay, now honey, make sure that this one's hydrated, and honey, you gotta put your braids in it with the thing, because when you're on the ride, then the hair's gonna get stuck in your mouth and get tangled, and oh, let me go get my costume, So it's like 50 things going on, and so I love going in the studio because I go in the booth and I close the door and I put my headphones on and I go, there's just nothing else right now that matters except the script and me getting the message across. So it's simple. That's what I like. I like simple.